Senator Cornyn.
Welcome, Chief. I enjoyed our conversation. It's now been, I guess, a few months ago when you were first nominated. Have you had a chance to review the guidelines for enforcement of civil immigration law that were issued by Secretary Mayorkas on September the 30th?
Senator, thank you for the question. And at this point, I'm still familiarizing myself with some of that information, but want to become very familiar with it if I'm able to move forward.
Were you aware that as a result of these guidelines that the Department of Homeland Security will no longer detain and deport someone who's entered the country illegally if that's their only offense? Were you aware of that?
I have heard some information along those lines, Senator.
Yeah, I think Director Mayorkas made that statement on television one or more times. Are you familiar with any other area of law enforcement, given your extensive law enforcement career, where the enforcer of the law decides which laws they will enforce?
Well, Senator, actually there is quite a bit of discretion in policing, and there are decisions made frequently based on resources available about which laws will be enforced and how they'll be enforced. This has especially been the case during COVID, when the ability to even put people into jail safely has been greatly.
So a police officer or an ICE agent can decide which laws to enforce. It's a matter of their discretion.
There are, Senator, there certainly are circumstances where police officers are trained and, in fact, encouraged to use their good discretion in the manner in which they enforce laws. Are you
familiar with the concept of pull and push factors when it comes to illegal immigration? For example, the push factors of poverty, violence, just people wanting to come to the United States for a better life, but also the pull factors, which include a perception that there will be no consequences associated with illegal immigration. Do you agree with me that the decision by Secretary Mayorkas to no longer detain or deport people who enter the country illegally is a pull factor which encourages more people to make that long, dangerous trip?
Senator, as I think we discussed, I think there are both strong push and pull factors out there. And
I'm just asking about the pull factors now. Would you agree with me that a policy of non-enforcement is a pull factor which is encouraging more illegal immigration?
Senator, thank you for the question. I think that there are many factors that contribute to this.
Is that one of them?
It is certainly one part of it, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. And are you familiar, you're a border state police officer and chief, and I know you know a lot about the border, although I will tell you, in my experience with Senator Sinema flying to Tucson, it's a much different situation in the Rio Grande Valley, for example. But one of the things that I think we share in common are the fact that the cartels have figured out how to overwhelm our border security, including our border patrol. And as a result of the fact that unaccompanied children and families and others who require additional processing and care, that when the Border Patrol leave the front lines, in some sectors in Texas, for example, as many as 40% of the Border Patrol have left the front lines of border security and are back processing unaccompanied children, that leaves a 4-lane highway for the drug cartels to smuggle drugs into the United States?
Senator, I agree. Even with the border not being homogenous, I think there's no question, and some areas more than others, such as the Rio Grande Valley, like you described, where we absolutely do need more Border Patrol agents out on the line doing what they were trained to do. And again, this is one of the reasons why I'm encouraged at having border processing coordinators come on board who can relieve some of those agents so they can get back to what should be their primary duties.
It's sort of like the cartels are playing three-dimensional chess while we're playing checkers, because this is part of their business model. And of course, last year alone, more than 90,000 Americans died of drug overdoses. Most of those drugs came across the southern border, as you know. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.